All right, team, how are we? So I hope you're having a great start to the week. So something a little bit different now. We want to start delivering a little bit more information for you so that we keep arming you with as much information as possible so that, you know, ultimately we want you to be or completely autonomous in your diet regimes, in understanding how to lose fat, how to maintain fat, how to understand where your energy comes from, how to, get the most out of your functional health, basically. So, what we're going to try and do is deliver a little bit of information in terms of like a slide like this, and I'll present some information for you to have a little think about, and then we can maybe start some conversations and learn together. Not to mention, I want you to be able to see an influencer on the internet chatting shit, and I want you to be able to completely crush them with your knowledge of food and exercise and nutrition. All right? So, what we're going to have a look at today is something that is super common inside dogmatic beliefs in terms of food, where over time carbohydrates have been demonized and avoided. Now, carbs are your friend, generally speaking, unless you've got some sort of metabolic disorder. But what we're going to talk about today is the difference between fast and slow carbs, all right, and how you can make them work for you. So, when we say fast and slow carbs, what we talk about is the rate of digestion and how quickly they enter the bloodstream, all right? So fast and slow digesting carbs can have a tremendous effect on your energy levels for the day. One thing that people tend to think of is good and bad, and when it comes to nutrition, there is no such thing as good and bad, okay? There is certain people who may need different methodologies more, but general population, guys who just want to have an inclusive social life, enjoy food and not feel guilt when they eat certain things, you don't necessarily need to think of foods good and bad. You can consume a variety of foods in moderation and be in incredible shape, have incredible energy, and look incredible naked, and still enjoy everything, all right? So don't think of one carbohydrate better than the other. They are merely just basically sugars. So when you look at carbohydrates and in terms of their speed and how quickly they get into the bloodstream, we're talking about a GI, okay? So glycemic index. So that's on a spectrum between 0 and 100. And basically, the variety of where they land on that spectrum is basically the speed at which they come into the bloodstream. All carbohydrates, whether you're eating brown rice or you are eating Haribo, end up as sugar in the bloodstream, okay? So the difference being is a complex carbohydrate, which you might have heard spouted around before, is something where it's made up of multiple saccharides, multiple sugars, and it just takes a little bit longer for the body to break them down. Whereas things like glucose and Haribo are almost in their simplest form, monosaccharides. So the scale that they're placed on is called the GI or glycemic index again, and it's just a fancy term for the high GI, sugary or fast digesting carbs, or low GI, slow digesting carbs. Okay, so we just covered that. So they're rated out along the scale of out of 100, with 100 being pure glucose. All right, so think people who need these types of tablets and things might be diabetics that need to quickly adjust their blood sugars if they're going into a hypo, which means that they can just quickly get some sugars into the blood and correct that. So when we look at foods and we look at low GI foods, they will fall on the spectrum between 55 or less, and that makes them a low GI food, so a low glycemic index. A medium GI food is quite a small range between 56 and 69, and a high GI food is 70 or more. So nice and easy. You don't really need to think about medium chain, to be fair. Simple. The vast majority of your carbohydrate intake should be coming from low to medium GI carbs, with a very small amount coming from high GI if you need it around exercise and things. So the benefit of this is your energy is a lot more stable, your satiation, your ability to prevent you from feeling hungry every few hours improves, and things like that as well. Let me explain why. I forgot that I'd animated that. I'm very professional now, you know. So low and medium GI foods, examples are there. So you've got kidney beans, lentils, seeds, most vegetables, nuts, some fruits, like for example, peaches and mangoes, grape juice, banana, sweet potato and brown rice and pasta, etc. So the pros are it's slow release, and let me just move my face. It's slow release, sustainable energy. It's slow releasing sustainable energy over a period of time, okay? Focusing on these as the primary source of carbs over the week will help stabilize blood sugar levels, avoid peaks and troughs, and keep you fuller for longer. So imagine that. How many of you tend to have lunch and you get that 3 p.m. slump of energy whereby you start to crash, you start to feel groggy, and then what that does is you go get a cup of tea and a chocolate bar and perk yourself up in the afternoon with something sweet, all right? Think of that as an appetite signal that's coming from these lower GI, the high GI carbs. So consuming the majority of your carbohydrates from these slower sources like this, these low and medium GI foods, will help stabilize your energy levels throughout the day. Cons: if you are consuming these low and medium GI foods around training, you have to wait for your energy. So it's not fast acting. So you don't get that little rush of energy that, the pre-workout snack or something like that. If you have just exercised and it's been a really tough session, I know that we're really killing it inside this group at the moment. So if you are finding that you are really tired after training, you could potentially look at refueling with some faster carbohydrates. So if you then, I don't think I've met anybody in the history of time that has finished a workout and desired a kidney bean or a lentil. So this is where you might look at some of those faster GI carbs. So high GI foods, examples are glucose, white bread, white potatoes, corn flakes, white rice, maltose, and corn syrup. So the pros are if you need energy fast, like we spoke about just then, it's around exercise and training. If you are feeling tired and you need to recover. If you are doing a morning run and then a weight session in the afternoon, you could potentially refuel with some faster high GI carbs to help you recover immediately after training so that you start filling up your glycogen stores again. And then you've got full energy for the next session. This is an interesting one for you runners out there that spend a little bit more time out on the road. So if you're completing a long session or endurance session at usually like 60 minutes plus, using lower GI foods will cause digestive discomfort due to the vascular shunt mechanism. This is basically where, exercise is a stressor. And the longer you spend exercising, the more blood gets diverted from digestion and things like that, because it's not necessary. If you are running from a saber-toothed tiger, you're not going to be digesting your kidney beans, all right? So your blood diverts away from the stomach and those types of functions and starts supplying the muscles so that they're energized for the exercise. So think about marathon runners and things like that. They're not going around and having a bite of a sweet potato mid-workout. They are having gels, they're having bananas, they're having sugary fruits, they're having Haribos, those types of things, because it's a really fast-acting way to replenish glycogen. The cons of having high GI foods during the day is nothing to do with exercise or recovery, but it can cause that grogginess. And this is what we mentioned about earlier. So it is that 3 p.m. slump. It is having cornflakes, and then all of a sudden around cornflakes for breakfast, and all of a sudden at 10, 11 a.m. in the morning, you feel groggy, tired, and you are craving already, and it's not even lunchtime. So think about the roller coaster effect. So as you're going along, you have cornflakes, your blood sugar goes right up here, then you get that crash and that crash here. What you'll find is you will be getting signaled to have some more carbohydrates. You might be reaching for something sweet, and you tend to spend the day going up and down, up and down, up and down. All right. So I'm sure you've all heard that and experienced that before. But if you are regularly doing this throughout your life, and you tend to keep a little bit of body fat on your body throughout your years, you're putting yourself at risk of type 2 diabetes as you get into the older population. So a really brief little overview for you there, guys. So just understanding that carbs are not good versus bad. They each have their place where you can implement them and get amazing results from them. And, you know, when you start to work with them, you understand that, you know, they all have a purpose. They'll start to really give you a massive boost on the back end. So again, just to recap, what we're wanting you to do is build up your day-to-day meals and carb sources from the majority of those low GI carbs to medium GI carbs. Sustain your energy, sustain your blood sugar, improve cognitively, improve your vitality, improve your recovery, and then around your training exercises, understand that certain foods like white bread, you know, sugary fruits, Haribo, white potatoes, white rice, that type of thing, have a purpose to replenish your muscles and to get you set up ready for the next session. All right, so real short delivery method there for you today. If you have any questions whatsoever, just drop a comment below and we'll get to it. All right, guys, have a great day.